Hello, you can call me D. I'm going to be reviewing Orbit's Bubblemint gum today. Um, I, I'm a huge fan of gum in general. It's kind of my bad habit, I guess. Everybody's got like a bad habit, right? Like some people smoke, some people drink, some people do really crazy shit. I don't really do any of that, but I have always been, well, not always, maybe within the past like two, 2 years, I've been super into chewing gum. So that's kind of, I just thought it'd be something entertaining to talk about. But anyway, let's get right into it, right? So, Orbit Gum. This is a brand that has a lot of history to it, and I'll give you a quick history lesson. There isn't an exact, from what I could find on the internet and from the different articles I was reading, there isn't an exact like starting point, but they trace all the way back to 1899, which makes a lot of sense because this company is owned by Mars Incorporated, the same people that make the Mars bars, which is also a subsidiary of Wrigley's, I believe. And Wrigley's is basically big gum. So, there you go. But I believe that Orbit really started to launch. They've had a series of relaunches throughout their history, and the first, I guess, relaunch or launch was in 1944 during the Second World War. Wrigley had kind of run out of resources to produce the usual gum product that people were used to, but the demand for gum was still pretty much the same. So they introduced Orbit as kind of like a, hey, this is still pretty good gum, but it's not Wrigley good, so we're going to present this. And people liked it. They were okay with it. But eventually, they shut their doors until 1976 when they got reintroduced again as a sugarless, alternative to a lot of gums. Ironically enough, they only lasted about 12 years. So in 1988, they had to be taken off shelves because there were a lot of rumors surrounding the information about what actually went into the gum, and people were starting to develop the concerns about the sugar-free alternatives being put in the gum, because they felt there was rumors going around that it was causing various cancers, and there was some slight evidence to back that up. So people, you know, lost it, and the company had to shut this down for a bit. And eventually, the gum would relaunch in 2001, and there have been a few ups and downs in its branding since, but they've been going pretty strong ever since. So, to talk more about like this flavor, I mean, I grew up eating Bubblemint gum. It's funny, until like a few days ago, I didn't actually know it was Bubblemint. I just kind of, um, I just always ate it and was like, this is kind of minty, and I didn't think twice about it. But now I know. That's literally the point. So, there you go, right? Anyway, I also want to say that if you see my eyes darting around a lot, it's because I actually have my computer screen and my notes in front of me because I have a tendency to yap and yap and yap, and I kind of want to get to the point. So, quick fun fact about Orbit is that Orbit has over 33 flavors, at least on their website, and that's like excluding the specific marketed flavors towards children and specific regions of the world. And I found out that a lot of these flavors actually you can only get through their distributor site online. So I have my work cut out for me as far as doing all the gum reviews and stuff. In 2007, they were the first chewing gum brand to receive the ADA, which is the American Dental Association's seal of acceptance. Now, what's ironic about that, I didn't mean to drop that. What's ironic about that is that this one is a part of that. So, like, they can actually promote their gum for, like, dental health. However, Orbit White, which is, like, basically the version, like, all the minty flavors, which are, like, specifically marketed towards having fresh breath and clean teeth, for some reason, the 88 does not, except Orbit White is safe. So, do what you will with that information. Now, let's get into the nutrition facts, right? Which are all on this little pink slip that the camera will definitely never focus on. Um, this gum has 7 sugar alcohols in it. That's a lot. It's got mannitol, glycerol, hydrogenated starch hydrolysate, which is like a mix of various sugar alcohols, and aspartame, the classic, right? Everybody for some reason loves aspartame. Um, Xylitol, and acesulfame potassium, which, to kind of explain what all these do, I know that sorbitol is a sweetener that's like used from peaches and dates and apricots and stuff, and all these sweeteners are about like a third of the calories of sugar, but they do have the side effects of causing indigestion and bloating. And it's funny because this is just from what I've been reading on like articles and stuff, but generally speaking, that there is a strong correlation between sugar, alcohol, and suffering gut health. So that's something to be, to take note of. Now, for the rest of the ingredients, I know there's gum base. Now, a lot of people don't know what gum base is, and it can be pretty unclear, but basically gum base is made of like 3 different things. I know that it's made of resins, waxes, I forget the third thing, but but I do know that this gum is made with polyethylene, and polyethylene is responsible for the texture and retention of flavor in gum. It is also the same chemical that is used for plastics, plastic water bottles, and various waxes. So like even this wrapper could possibly be made of polyethylene, I'm not sure, but that's just something to consider when consuming gum. A lot of people consume gum without thinking about the damage it has on your body, but you're kind of just chewing plastic with flavoring. So, or sorry, whatever, I might get sued for saying that. I'm just going for it. Now, natural and artificial flavors. A lot of people don't know what that means. I'll try and give a consolidated explanation based off of my research, and I'll try and include all my sources in the actual bio of this video. Natural flavoring and artificial flavoring are not that different. They kind of just have like 1 to 2 fundamental differences. Natural flavoring usually derives from plants or plant-based products, but that does not mean that there aren't synthetic ingredients in your natural flavoring. So like, I wrote down a good example. Think of something that's like lime flavored, right? It might have lime juice in it. It might even have parts of lime pulp, but it could also have sugar alcohol in it. It could also have a few other things that definitely are not a part of the lime, but it is considered natural flavoring because there is bits of lime in it. Artificial flavor is similar to that, but it also has additives that are from the FDA's GRAS list. Now, the GRAS list basically means, I think it was like generally, I have it. Hold on. I apologize. Oh, generally recognized as safe. That's what's written down. So these are additives that are supposedly safe to consume. Now, there are 2 different categories that this kind of falls into. There's the first, which has like 700 allowed flavoring chemicals from the FDA, and the second one is the additives. So you have the flavoring and then the additives. Those are the 2 categories that kind of go into the artificial flavoring. This was originally intended for like cooking ingredients, so like stuff like vinegar and spices. That's what this list was for, but it's kind of become an exemption. So like a lot of manufacturers can kind of just decide whether new chemicals are safe or not using this. The next one is soy lecithin. Soy lecithin is such a common ingredient. Anybody that has a soy allergy, myself included, is not safe from it in most foods. Soy lecithin is generally considered an emulsifier. So an emulsifier, for those of you that don't know, it pretty much just, in layman's terms, it sticks things together. And, I mean, it emulsifies. Look up the word if you don't know what it means. But to go a bit more into what the actual composition of soy lecithin is, it's basically phosphatides and phospholipids removed from like crude soybean oil during the degumming process, which is when they remove things and process the oil down. These are specific compounds that I have not looked into, so I can't honestly tell you what they do. But I do know that the potential side effects of consuming soy lecithin are indigestion, nausea, and bloating. Although supposedly these are rare. Now, the most concerning ingredient in here, the 2 most concerning ingredients in this gum are BHT and phenylalanine. Phenylalanine? Whatever. Look it up. BHT is a type of preservative, but more than anything, it's the cousin of a known preservative, BHA. Now, BHA and BHT, specifically BHA, in 1988 was recognized as a high priority level carcinogen. Now, That can mean a lot of things. I implore you to do your own research on that because I unfortunately just don't have the credentials to explain how that affects people. But it basically just means consuming this in high amounts will obviously raise your risk of getting cancer the same way anything else does. Um, Now, the phenyl, phenylalanine, 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 I wish I could say that faster. That is actually an amino acid that your body can't produce. You need to consume that through milk, through proteins, through eggs, whatever. Now, what's interesting about why this is in the gum is because that specific amino acid is the precursor of a few important like chemicals such as melanin, dopamine, non-adrenaline, or noradrenaline, sorry. And it's responsible for helping your body produce those chemicals. So I feel like consuming it in a gum with sugar alcohols, I don't know. There's got to be some sort of side effect to that. But anyway, I've been yapping your ear off. Let's actually get into the gum review, right? So just going off the bat here, right? Like the smell is insanely strong. This is ridiculous. I was actually able to smell the gum when I held it out, like away from my face, and it could be one of the sugar alcohols. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, but it's 14 pieces of gum, right? Just look at that inside. All paper wrapped. I remember it might not be Orbit specifically. It might be Trident. But there are some gum brands that prefer to wrap in tin. I'm personally a bigger fan of tin, just because I don't like wasting paper. Not that wasting tin is necessarily any better. But yeah, take a look at that. So we're going to be rating this based off of 5 categories, okay? We're going to be going flavor, lasting taste, chew, mouthfeel, and smell. Smell right now, I'm not going to lie, I think right now the smell is like an 8.5. It's really strong. It's giving you really clear, solid idea of what you're going to be chewing. And, a lot of people don't know that the sense of smell that you have is pretty much determining how things are going to taste for you. Your sense of smell is arguably your most important sense. But anyway, we're going to take one of these bad boys out. All right, let's take a look at this. 14 pieces. I think I'm just going to take one right out the middle, honestly. Boom. It's a little chiclet. Well, the chiclets are the hard-shelled ones, but we're going to call this a soft chiclet. It's white, has no dye, no nothing. I guess we're just going to go for it, right? Okay. I think I'm going to change mouthfeel to texture, but then again, chew kind of falls more into texture, too. I don't know how loud my chewing is, so I might move my mic away slightly. Anyway. Mouthfeel, first thing that comes to mind was, it felt like a pretty big chunk of gum. Okay, I think I'll associate mouthfeel with size. This felt like a pretty heavy chunk of gum. It feels like it'll last, I find that a lot of gum, I'm going to let it sit in my top gum for a second. I find that a lot of gum, when you buy the chiclets or the little pieces, you don't really get, you end up having to eat multiple pieces, right? Because you're like, yeah, I'm chewing a little bit of gum, but like it doesn't feel like I'm really chewing, And for me personally, like the chew is really important. So this one feels like it's really sitting in there. And it honestly softened within like a minute. It started off kind of stiff, but even without chewing, like just letting it get warm, it's becoming way easier to chew. So I'm going to say the mouthfeel, just based off of size, the way it sits, I'm going to give that like a 7. Now for the chew itself, not going to lie, it leaves a little to be desired. I think that the mouth size, or the way that it feels in your mouth, the size of it is great, but it shrinked quite substantially once you start chewing it. And I'm honestly inclined to take another piece. Now that I've been chewing it for about, like a minute and a half. Now, I will say, Flavor-wise, easily a 9. This gum has been one of my favorites since I was a kid. Consistently good. And it hasn't changed, crazily enough. I think it's crazy how certain things stay consistent like that, and the gum flavor is one of them. I mean, I also just am a fan of bubble gum. You know, I don't know a lot of people that like bubble gum, let alone mint gum, but I love both, and this takes the flavor of both and combines them. So, you know, why wouldn't I enjoy that? I will say the chew is starting to feel progressively more rubbery, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, I literally felt a squeak in my mouth as the gum moved around in my teeth. I don't know. The chew's really kind of bringing the score down a little bit. I will say though, all things considered, I've been chewing this for a bit now, and the flavor is still pretty strong. I mean, obviously, there was a really high peak at the beginning. I would like to imagine that the first minute was basically like this, and now we're kind of on a slow decline. But this is kind of where the mint flavor is really clutching up, because the bubble gum, that burst of sugar, hit kind of immediately, and it's almost gone now, and it's only been maybe like 4 minutes. My sense of time is quite terrible, so bear with me. But even then, like, the mint itself, the mentholated, I was gonna say menthol, but that's for cigarettes. The mentholated flavor, or the mint itself, I'm just gonna say mint. What am I doing? The mint flavor itself is lasting just as strong as it did at the beginning. And you can even attribute that to the mouthfeel and the sense of smell, right? Because I have a really strong sense of smell, so the fact that I'm smelling mint constantly is really helping with the flavor retention of the gum. And yeah, I don't know. I could at least chew this for 30 minutes. I don't really feel like, with the size, it doesn't get in the way of me talking, which is great. It might honestly bump the mouthfeel up like 0.5. Yeah, it bumps it up 0.5 for sure. I think I'm going to go for a second piece. I'm not going to lie. I might as well. It's already here. Yeah. See? Yeah. That immediately, that burst of bubblegum is there. Yeah, and now, downward spike. I'm definitely going to enjoy eating this throughout the week. I find that the chew immediately goes up a point when you have 2 pieces instead of 1. But then again, I don't know about you guys, I don't really ever chew just 1 piece of gum. So this could be like confirmation bias for me. I always chew at least 2 at a time. Yeah. Yeah, it's chill. As far as lasting taste goes, I'm trying so hard not to breathe into this mic. This must be so annoying for you guys. Anyway, as far as I'm gonna move it further down so it'll get away from my nose. There we go. I don't know. I kind of just realized that, like, I'm literally doing a video where I'm chewing into a mic. I feel like this is going to end up somehow ending up in the ASMR community completely by accident. But that's fine. They seem cool. They don't seem insane as long as you guys don't start asking me to eat, like, hot Cheeto mozzarella sticks. Because, no, that low-key sounds good, though. Anyway. Flavor. I'm going to give that a 9. Definitely. As far as lasting taste, yeah, the bubble gum's gone now, like almost completely. There's like there's like essence of it, if that makes sense. It's like essence. It's like when you eat like Turkish delight or something of like a floral essence, and you more so smell it while you're tasting it instead of tasting it directly. So for lasting taste, I think it's average. Actually, I think it's above average. I would say like 6.5. No, you know what? I'll be a little nicer than that. I'll be a little nicer than that. I'll say it's like a 7. I'll say it's like a 7. Chew, you get a 5. I'm sorry. Even now, like with me eating 2, it's okay. You know, it's all right. It's perfectly fine. That's kind of where it lays, like perfectly in the middle. But I really think the smell and the flavor are what kind of line this thing up the best. The mouth feels strong, you know. 7.5 is a pretty good rating. I would even say that the fact that it kind of has that chalkiness at the beginning from like the dusted sugar alcohol, um, it's nice. It's nice. I don't mind it. I know some people might. I personally don't. Um, I don't hate it. You know. Yeah. Anyway, um, let's see. If I were to total this out really quick with my awesome calculator, the median. Oh, I gotta change my light. I'm not doing all that. I gotta look at the screen. Sorry, you guys are gonna watch me look from a chopped angle. Diablo, can this thing move? There we go. So, if we average everything out, the average score of this gum would be, let's see, divide that by 5. Alright, that's fair. I'm going to rate this, I'm going to round up, okay? So I'm going to say that my glorious goat, the Orbit Bubblemint gum, the gum that I grew up with and still love, I'm going to give it a 7.5. Okay? I think that's a fair review for that gum. I don't think that it's the craziest gum in the world, but it's definitely above average. You know, it's definitely above good. It's at least great. I mean, I'm sure there are even better. I know there are better flavors than this with Orbit, but honestly, this and Wintergreen have been my bread and butter since I don't know. I was like 4. You know, when I was a kid and I lived in DR, my mom, the amount of times, you know, in DR healthcare is a little different, and I have peanut allergies, and I remember like the way that we would deal with that was if I accidentally got poisoned by like peanuts or something, my mom would give me this gum, and specifically the mint gum, and it would at least alleviate the itchiness until we could get to a place where I could actually receive care for it. So there's a bit of nostalgia. If I were to do this off of nostalgia, it would probably be an 8. But just being objective here, I'm gonna go with a 7.5. But anyway, I mean, the lasting taste is still proving itself consistently here. Yeah. I would even say these last a lot longer than Wrigley. Like whenever I have Wrigley gum, that shit like dies within like a few minutes. So anyway, almost dropped it. That's the review for the gum. I just want to say, I very much doubt that people are going to sit through this entire video, and that's totally okay. This is almost a 25, 30-minute long video, and it's kind of just me monologuing. But I started these videos not just to review gum. I kind of just wanted to do something fun for myself that doesn't really require a lot of brain power. I'm sure a lot of people right now have a lot of things going on in their lives that bother them, and this is kind of my attempt to feel better about deeper emotions, and I'm hoping that even if you're just watching this kind of out of irony, it would be nice to connect with people and just talk about whatever. It doesn't even necessarily have to be gum. This won't be the only kind of videos I'll be posting. I'm a musician, you know. I'll be posting music. I'll be talking about my bands and all that. There will probably always be a stick of gum somewhere. I won't even necessarily always be talking about the science of the gum. Like, I won't be talking about its history all the time. I'm not going to be sitting here always like, oh, in 1933, Wrigley was responsible for the mass genocide of, like, I don't, you know, not everybody's into that. This is just kind of what I felt like doing today. So, this is kind of just my way of, I guess, talking to the world. So if that resonates with you at all, you know, please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. Maybe drop a like. Maybe just give me like a comment about what gum you want me to review next. And I'll be lacing in deeper topics in between the review. I mean, for this one, we're kind of really pushing it with the time already. But either way, I'm kind of hoping to just spark a debate on the gum online, and maybe connect with some new people, you know. But yeah, it's been real. I'm D. You guys rule. Talk to you later.